We live now.
Give them what they want. Give the people what they want. Hey
Yeah.
man, why you went so ham on them people about their bonnets, man?
Cause man, that bonding thing is crazy. I don't even. First off, my thing is, I don't even know why we having a conversation with all of the other nonsense and foolery going on
This is true.
to the point that it's rising to national discussion. Where Monique had to double down on her comments. It's foolery.
This is true.
It's foolery. Like it's wasted time because now we gonna take 2 weeks. You know how we are. Take 2, 3 weeks while all of this shit that we gonna get into today because your boy Biden.
And they gonna pass some legislation on our
shit. And then we gonna want to talk about and blame the Asian community because I'm also tired of people doing that too, talking about, oh, well, why did they get a bill? And it didn't take that long. Why? Because the motherfuckers got political real quick on your ass. And again, if we did the same way, yeah, it's going to take a little bit more. It's going to take a little bit more pain, a little bit more pressure. But guess what? You got to do it.
If we put that bonding energy into some, going to see your local politician, I feel you.
Yo. And so, also why we late too, and I apologize for being late. It just got some new equipment, some new technology as I'm trying to build and grow everything out. So housekeeping, welcome to Eavesdrop. We appreciate everybody who tuned in, who catch us after the fact. Today we're going to be talking about reparations and why reparations is the answer to save America. Because it's not just about African-American community. It's not just about the Black Americans. I want y'all to understand, and hopefully when we come away from this show, that y'all will understand that there are so many through lines in terms of the political corruption, the imperialism, and everything that goes on as a result of the wealth that was acquired during slavery has allowed a small percentage to run rampant globally. And so before we go ahead and get started, I want y'all to go ahead, hit the like button, please. Go ahead, share the video. And again, like I always say, while we going through this, feel free to comment. And as I always say as well, down below, you're going to find the link to call in. Everybody is welcome to call in. You do not have to agree with the talking points that are being said on this show to call in. We welcome any conversation because I am a true believer that conversation is what we need in America. I am against safe spaces. I am against political correctness. I think those things are part of what is eroding our democracy as it is stifling us from having the conversations, and I mean the hard ones that are necessary to move us forward in the right direction. So without further ado, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start with just general thought. We're going to do it like we did the last show. I'm not going to hop into the articles first, but I want to ask you, what's your thoughts on reparations, and do you think reparations help anybody outside of the African-American community? Good sir.
Hey, listen, man. To start this off, I had to let the hair down for this one, like, because this is serious. Usually I have it pinned up, but it's time to really talk about, some real stuff. I'm almost finished my glass and everything. So, you know what time it is. And when it comes to that's the time we need to be on when it comes to reparations. Like, we as a people, we have to begin to move on the legislations that we know will benefit us as a collective. And we got to stop thinking that, oh, this is pie in the sky. Oh, this is conspiracy. And, oh, this will never happen. Like, we're living in a time of day where people are determining to do whatever the fuck they want to do. You have people that are getting legislations passed where they're changing the laws about bathrooms. There's legislations on the books about how you treat certain communities.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask someone 20 years, 30 years ago, if there would be legislation on the books about these things, they would have told you, oh, hell no. They're not going to change these legislations. None of this is ever going to happen. Well, guess what? In 2021, the people who've been doing politics have gotten all of their legislations passed. Now you have bathrooms for everyone. You have to address everyone and educate everyone about their past and all of these different things. So my thing is we keep telling black folk, we keep telling each other what's not going to happen, while other races are making it happen.
And I would say this too. I think it's, for me, I always take it as disrespect because it goes against everything I know about the collective heritage, not just my family, but as a whole. Like, look, man, our group, Black Americans, are resilient as hell. The fact that we are here, the fact that we are still standing, the fact that we can even be sitting here having this conversation today is a miracle of itself. Like, understand, we were enslaved, and even after being enslaved, the country and nation that we had to move under also systemically targeted us, which we'll get into later. And why a lot of these conversations in and around, you know, well, no person who owned a slave is alive now, or none of that is really relevant. And so we gonna have conversations about that. But I want everybody to understand that when you say to yourself that, oh, it's pie in the sky, that's where I would tell people in our group, if we gonna move like that and think like that, I don't want to hear your complaints about racism. I don't want to hear your complaints about Joe Biden. I don't want to hear your complaints about Donald Trump. I don't want to hear your complaints about racist institutions. I don't want to hear your complaint about the NFL. I don't want to hear your complaint about anything.
Nigga, because life is pie in the sky.
Reparations
is pie in the sky.
Because if you want to keep it 100, as people would say, the whole idea that reparations doesn't or would not do anything, or that it would go back into the hands of quote unquote white supremacists because of the conditioning, is also false, because you have to understand that you have a very limited view of how policy works. You have a very limited view of how narrative influences policy and policy influences narrative, and how that creates a rollout, a bundle effect in terms of you get the reinforcement. You also don't necessarily understand that when you are talking about policy, policy is to put structure in place. No longer can we survive off of this go along to get along, as your boy Kwame say, to go along to get along game, because the money out here is drying up in the streets. It ain't too much real bread out here. You might as well get the bread you can by being who you are, because look, it's not a real difference in the bread that you're getting in terms of selling your soul, going on TV saying America ain't racist. Because again, America is an institution first. We're not talking about the individuals that make up America. Can the individuals that make up America not be racist? Not so much, because even myself as a black man who just called myself a black man, by calling myself a black man, I am now also participating in a political ideology known as race. What was you about to say, fam?
We got a question. Zimba G says, do you believe the top % wealthy Americans are afraid of reparations? If so, why?
Hell yeah, they're afraid of reparations, because there's so much vested interest globally. And matter of fact, that's a perfect question to segue into the article, because there's so much vested interest when you talk about not just the corporations in America, but global leaders abroad, right? And so let me go ahead. Y'all know how we do. We're going to pop open the screen share. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this article right here. Wrong one. I don't know why I be doing that to me. Come on, Tech. So as y'all can see, the 15 major corporations you never knew profited from slavery. So you got the Lehman Brothers, whose business empire started in the slave trade, recently admitted they're part in the business of slavery. Wealth. You got Aetna.
Ooh.
We all know who Aetna is. Yeah. That's health insurance. And we all know the battle that was had over health insurance in this last past election. So when we talk about, matter of fact, let me go through the list. JP Morgan Chase also recently admitted their company's links to slavery. 13,000 enslaved individuals as collateral on loans, because I want everybody to understand that when you are talking about Wall Street, when you are talking about how bonds work, the initial premise and context and concept around how they bonded was using slaves. Yeah. So hear me, I'm gonna take it off. So what that means is I got this NIGGER, and then I got the buck out back, right? I got two. So I'm trying to make a deal and I'm trying to make a trade with this other slave owner over here or this other person, right? So I don't have the collateral right now. I don't have it because slaves were wealth. Slaves were money. Slaves made money. So not only were they the actual cattle, they were also the cattle that welded and made the cotton, the sugar, the tobacco, the agriculture, all of it. So, Mr. Quan, sir, I only got two right now. But guess what? I can force them to mate. I can force them to breed. So, you loan me, you put your payment down, we make the trade, and look, I can give you 10 bodies. I can give you 10 bodies in, let's say, 9 months, take 9 months conception. I got 10 bodies in, let's say, 3 years. Because with that one body, hopefully, I get some males and some females in that bunch, and I'll force them to mate at the earliest age. Soon as they hit period age, we popping them out. I got you, Quan. I got you, bro. So I'm gonna pull it back up. But that's how that works. When we talk about bonding, when we talk about all of these different things.
Sound like sex trafficking to me.
It is. It's a lot. Nigga, it's a lot worse than sex trafficking. It's that times 1,000, 1 million.
Well, if we put it in today's terms, you know how people like
they don't, you know what? They don't have a word for it in today's terms. That's why they're afraid to talk about it. Because if you talk about it, you can't put it in proper context. You can't make a movie about it because you can't put it in proper context, because that's how brutal it was. That's how maniacal it was. That's how just, it's nothing on the world. It's nothing in the globe that compares to it. And when people talk about other forms of slavery, I want to sit here and say, anybody want to hop up here and challenge me? There is no form of slavery, chattel slavery, that compares. America, our quote unquote fake, what do you call them? The great founders that everybody loves, they evolved slavery. So let's go down the list. You got New York Life Insurance Company. Who else? Wachovia. You got the Rothschilds and Sons and Bank in London. And we're going to show up another article for them too, because everybody want to say when you speak of certain names that, oh, you being anti, y'all know the word, and it's not being anti. We're not talking about a whole collective of people. We're talking about specific families who took part in the deed of the slave trade. Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. So don't even try to do that. And anybody who tried to do that, watch the whole video.
Please.
Norfolk Southern also has a history. The Mobile and Girard Company, which is now part of Norfolk Southern, offered slaveholders $180, $3,000 today. Get the hell out of here. You got CSX. You got the Canadian National Railway Company. So everybody who be talking about Canada, no, Canada. And if you know people from Canada, if you watch any media that comes out of Canada, you know your boy, what is it, Trudeau?
Oh yeah.
Is that Trudeau out there?
Oh yeah.
You know how they get down. They not no better than America. They just allure, they like light. They like racist light.
Exactly.
So you got the Brown brothers, you got Brooks brothers.
Oh, the Suits.
Yeah, Suits.
Suits. Not the Brooks brothers.
No.
Oh, I gotta put my.
Hold on. Yeah.
The Brooks brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get rid of my Suits.
Yeah.
Do we have a very serious problem?
We have a very serious problem.
Oh.
And down, as we get down below, we got Barclays. Barclays. And I'm gonna be full transparent with y'all. This is how maniacal and how cynical and how wild, and why I'm saying that it's dependent on all of America, not just us. Because hold on. I'm gonna do this for y'all. Because I ain't even gonna cap. So I don't know if y'all can get that in the frame, but that's an Apple card, Goldman Sachs, racist. Barclays, racist. But guess what? Because they have so much of the infrastructure, hold on, JP Chase Morgan too. Y'all know, I ain't going to cap for y'all. Because I'm going to break it down. The infrastructure, the foothold that they have on the capital, because they gained capital in a time where we are the Gilded Sages for a reason. Because when you talk about the Gilded Age, when you talk about slavery, slavery was the initial boom. The Gilded Age allowed them to, again, further compound and calcify that wealth. So when we get the question, are corporations afraid to give reparations on slavery? Absolutely. Because you want to know what I propose of how our reparations plans look when it comes to corporations? Because not only do we sanction America as an institution, we sanction the private institutions that went along and profited as well. So you know what? Harvard, you know what? Yale, you know what? All of these very illustrious institutions that everybody loves to attend.
Georgetown. Yes.
Because they came out, and another person who acknowledged it. I ain't bring up all the articles because it's a lot of them, but they acknowledge theirs too. But what we have to understand is you shouldn't be giving out free education, or let me say just free education. Those endowments that you have should be directly directed. And I'm not saying all of them. But not only should you do that on your own, there should also be sanctions in place to extract funds from institutions that took part in slavery. And when people say, oh, is it doable? Is it doable? Yes, it is very doable because there are deeds. There are actual documentation that took place because guess why? America did it systemically. So the trail is there. What's the book? Color of Law?
Hey.
The trail is there.
Very.
So I don't want to hear, oh, it can't be done. It can be done.
Yes,
the same way I could pull up an article on who, there can be audits. There can be a bunch of things done that put in place checks of, oh, you participated in discriminatory practices. You participated in Jim Crow practices. You participated in slavery. Okay. We're going to tax you, and this tax, that pool gets put into, again, to move away from slavery, and this is why ADOS is so important, American Descendants of Slavery. Shout out to Tony and Yvette for building that and putting that in the forefront. because it's necessary. It's a designation that allows us to move away from black and white, which is a business. So go ahead, fam.
But you know what, though? One of the biggest impediments, in my opinion, to reparations is the fact that what I fear would happen is that you have a lot of people that are in institutions that are black that would get exposed because they've been aiding and abetting a lot of these people and a lot of these institutions the whole way there.
This is true.
Aiding and abetting. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we gave Biden some pushback on the 94 crime bill, what was his excuse? Oh, the CBC. Oh, all of these black organizations, they wanted the 94 crime bill. And I guarantee you, if you bring up any situation that we say, hey, this was discriminatory, this was damaging to black people, their retort is going to be, well, we put this black person in charge, or these black people wanted this policy, or it benefited these black folks. And it's like, until we reckon with the fact that we got to go at war with our own people who will say things like, oh, reparations is pie in the sky. Oh, you just got to work hard. Those are the people, to me, that we need to eat.
And you know, another group of people, I wouldn't even say that because I attribute a lot of that to ignorance. What I would say, though, is the people who we have to necessarily approach. And I'll try to reason with people first before it gets into a situation of, you know, just talking trash. The people who are willing to secure the bag by any means. Because shout out to Kevin Samuels, because he did a broadcast the other day about Birth of a Nation and the origins of it. And it's something that I always talk about. And that's one of the main reasons why I initially started liking Kevin Samuels, because I understood the political undertones when he talks about the family structure, when he talks about doing certain things when it comes down to image. I understand the political part of it. But when he did that, it just reaffirmed even further that people who will go after the bag recklessly are a danger to us all.
Exactly.
Because, like I said, from jump, I ain't trying to hear about racism no more. I'm not. If you go out here and make certain type of music, certain type of entertainment, certain type of stuff, and your excuse is, oh, well, I got to get it some way. I got to get it some way.
Or we can't knock your hustle. You can knock the hustle.
I can knock the hustle, because guess what? Then you want me to come around and double back and say, and get behind you when it's a race issue at hand. That's why I don't come out for a lot of these politicos. When you had the Lori Lightfoot out of Chicago, and what's her name came at her? The fake Russian spy. I forget her name. They was calling her Russian spies throughout the whole campaign. Tulsi Gabbard. And I like some of her, full disclaimer, I like some of her policy positions and proposals. I think she only got the Russian claim because she was coming at people's neck. And she ate Kamala Harris up for breakfast. Up for breakfast. And nobody want to talk about it, but she made very good points. But again, because she was white, nobody wanted to let it stick. Because Kamala Harris is quote unquote black, we got to sit here and act like we don't see what we see.
Exactly.
We got to sit here and act like we don't see what we see with Jim Clyburn. We got to sit here and act like we don't see what we see with Lori Lightfoot. Okay. And all of these Democratic people across all of these cities who continuously want to scapegoat whiteness, and not really move in a way that's counter to whiteness.
I call them chocolate covered white folks.
Yeah, because they fake. They fake. And I am not here for galvanizing people around black people who are going to get in the room, capitulate to whiteness, and then come on the outside and say, oh no, they doing everything wrong to us. But when I gotta sit there and watch you as a political surrogate, you don't be saying nothing though. You be quiet as a mouse though, and you do everything you told though. Get out of here. Because I'm, like I said in the last show, everybody got agency until they don't. And I'm tired of that. And I'm tired of that because that is another impediment to what it is that we face. I'm gonna go into the next article just to add on top when we talk about the corporations part of it and why the corporations are so invested in undermining reparations. Because these corporations, you have to understand that corporations are family. Corporations are attached to people. And so a lot of even your leftists, they don't support reparations because they attach to the juggernauts. They attach to this old money. They don't got it now, but when they peoples die, they gonna get the transfers.
Bernie Sanders.
And they know it. Shit, Bernie Sanders died. He done probably, man, he probably out here giving it away because he be faking like he done did all the movements.
Joe Manchin. I'm tired of all these.
Oh, we're going to get into them because we got the book up here today. This is what we're going to pull from a little bit. Again, shout out to Yvette Carnell and them. She did a book club on when affirmative action was white. So I got a little bit of notes. You know what I'm saying? From here, but little touch points. But the debate over reparations for slavery has moved from the political realm to the corporate one. At least two big British companies, Insurers Lloyd's of London and Brewer Green King, promised to make certain amends for their role in slavery. But activists want them and other companies to do more. And why does this matter? We usually hear about reparations as a political issue, a societal obligation of federal government, as the New York Times' Nicole Hannah-Jones wrote this week. But corporations too are being called out for how their involvement in slavery and other modern day policies and practices perpetuate racism. Perpetuate systemically, modernly, still to this day. Y'all want to cry about Donald Trump, but then don't want to hold yourselves accountable and denounce whiteness. Get out of here. We're going to go down. The backstory. As the BBC and others have reported, predecessors banks to Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan Chase has ties to slavery. JP Morgan acknowledges predecessor banks allowed slaves to be used as collateral for loans, like I just explained. When those loans went bad, the bank ended up owing over 1,000 enslaved people in Louisiana. Goddamn fruit flies. In 2005, the bank set up a $5 million scholarship for black undergraduates to attend in College State.
That's all we get.
Yep, and I'm gonna stop there because I just wanted to compound on top of it. College education is not reparations.
It's a scam.
It's a part of reparations, but not a form of reparations. And let me help you understand what I'm saying if that don't make sense. Can you absolutely put into a comprehensive policy similar to what AOC goes around here running about the New Deal? Like I have said, the New Deal can be put into a reparations proposal. Joe Biden's weak ass keep talking about the new jobs American plan and why he can't prioritize reparations. The American Jobs Plan can be put into the reparations bill. You want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because when we talk about the undermining of labor, let's go back. When we talk about white abolitionists, a lot of white abolitionists were not abolitionists because they disagreed with slavery. A lot of white abolitionists were abolitionists because they understood that slavery undermined the labor costs. The same way America continues to use immigration to undermine the labor costs. It is why we cannot get a livable wage. And this is not, again, an attack on immigrants, because I know how y'all little social justice warriors like to do. This is not an attack on immigrants. This is allowing immigrants, and hopefully, if you hear me, immigrant, whether you black or white, America is only here to do what is global labor arbitrage and brain drain. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
They only want you here if they can manipulate and control the spectrum of how it works and goes. Because guess what? Americans still suffer till this day. You are bringing your family into a land, again, there is opportunity here. I am not saying that there is not opportunity here. But if you are going to start protesting about racism, they don't care. Why? Because the whole reason that your nation is destabilized is because America, in its young age, had what they called slavery, and they were allowed to get wealth off of not having to pay people. So when you start a nation, when you start a business, right? America started this business. We got tobacco, we got sugar, we got agriculture, we got industrialism, we got all of those things, right? And let me take industrialism out. That didn't come until a little bit later. But when we talk about that, understand that America would not be as wealthy as it is in such a young nation, because it is a young nation, and its hubris is going to kill us.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not understanding that you only were able to fast track your business because you did not have to pay for the labor. You were only able to rise as you did because, again, what we always forget is that it was a trade. It was a trade. So I'm gonna need all of my continental Africans to take a step back and sit down and listen as well. Because until y'all nations help get reparations, we can't help y'all. Because when we talk about the Lords of London, when we talk about the French, all of those people were involved. So guess what? If you help African Americans, Black Americans get reparations in the strongest nation in the land, the one with the most guns, the one with the most bands, guess what? Every other nation has to follow suit. And guess what? We already got the legal precedent set. But y'all so willing to say, oh, well, why should the African Americans just get it? Why should the Negroes just get it? Why? Because we the only people who suffered through chattel slavery, not indentured servitude, as the Irish like to claim, as well as other African nations. Yes, you all have slaves, but your slavery function is completely different. And again, if you want to hop on here and have a conversation, I'm willing to have a conversation, because I've had conversations with people of the African diaspora privately, and they don't even speak amongst it against their own, because they know how bad and how much damage it did and how much leverage it gave the French and the Europeans, and why the Europeans and China and is right now on the continent of Africa raping that junk.
Oh, man.
But guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Hold up. Corporations, right? When we talk about outsourcing, the whole problem with outsourcing is that you got corporations in America who take their business elsewhere. Why? Because of labor. Because they can extract the labor at cheaper prices, and because the labor laws are not as strong, and because a lot of these places have corrupt leadership, they can come in. It's Bezos a bust. Because guess what? Bezos can go anywhere. He got niggas pissing in bottles in America. So I know for a fact he can go abroad and get it twerking, get it popping.
He probably got them drinking the piss. Let me not.
For an extra $1, just for their amusement.
Let me not.
But go ahead.
No, like he was saying, and I go a step further, because here's the biggest thing for me when we talk reparations And when we really get down to it, one of the biggest reasons why I feel like a lot of people don't want this discussion to happen, because it opens up Pandora's box.
Woo!
Think about it. All of the countries that you see immigration come from, if you go in their history, America destroyed them.
Destroyed
them. Think
Destroyed.
of it. Name a country. You can name any country that majority immigrants come from. America has had a hand.
Hold on. How many bombs can we drop in a minute? How many bombs can we drop?
As many as they put on Baghdad, as many as they put in Korea, as many, like how every last one of these countries that a lot of these immigrants come from are countries that we had a hand in fucking their whole history up. So if we force America to have to pay us for fucking our history up, well, shit, Mexico been fucked up by America. Goddamn, Iran's been fucked up by America. Like, where does it end?
And let me say
Everybody
this.
got a justice claim after that. If you got to pay us, that's the thinking. But see, what people don't realize is that when you think about everything that's been created, Black people have had a hand in every goddamn thing. And think about it. Everything a Black person has made, everyone's had a chance to be included in it.
Absolutely.
All the shit that white people make is only for them.
It's called meritorious manumission.
Think about it.
That's how it works.
White people made banking. How many Black bankers you know? That's in the higher echelon of it. They make stuff and it's exclusive to them. Everything a Black person made, it's been co-opted so much we don't even know Black people made it. Like everything we make,
And
you
look,
wouldn't know we made it because we share it that much. So imagine if we had wealth, how much more we could create for the world.
and how much more we could protect the world.
Exactly.
Because again, the only reason that people got policies to be able to come in here is because of Black America.
Exactly. But you got people, our own people, that'll tell you, oh, we don't need no reparations. We can bootstrap this. We need no business that has a justice claim is going to tell you we don't need more money.
Because as a collective, we are a business.
Like, I don't understand it.
Blackness and whiteness is a brand, if you know what I'm saying.
I don't understand it. We're the only people that'll tell our own people we don't deserve money.
But check this out. This is another little political jump that everybody like to say, right? Hold on. Politically, this is what they call them, the deficit hawks. You know what the deficit hawks say? Well, we can't do reparations because it will put such a burden on everybody, the country. And I want everybody who's watching this, and this is the imperialism take, right? Understand that is what we want. Because guess what? If America is so busy refunding Black Americans for their labor and the systemic decimation of us to the point our wealth is hitting zero by 2050 or sooner after COVID. Understand, if y'all got people, if I got people from the continent, if I got people from anywhere, again, white immigrant or Black immigrant, we can't fuck up your homeland. Why? Because we too busy paying back these Black Americans. So guess what? Reparations would force America to reconstruct and go back at the table and redo their foreign policy and how they engage. Because guess what? If they was giving out reparations, they wouldn't have another some 700 billion or million to give to Namin yet who?
The millions and millions.
They wouldn't. But everybody want to talk about how it's linked. But guess what? When it come down to reparations, you don't want to do it. But guess what? If we did, they wouldn't have the money to give up. They wouldn't.
Exactly.
We would be broke as a nation. You want to know why? Because they would be busy paying back.
Exactly. We wouldn't be the #1 manufacturer of weapons in America and in the world.
Can't do both. And if you try to do both, you fall just like Rome. Because we know how that story goes. But again, everybody get into the whole, oh, well, why should Black Americans just have it? The reason Black Americans have to just have it is because America understands the law. As I discussed in another episode, you cannot bring a claim based on race. But race is not lineage. Race is not ethnicity. So you can absolutely bring a claim based on your ethnicity. Hence, why other ethnicities, we can go from Somalians, they have policies specifically for them. We can go to the Asians who just got, the Asians who just got their policy.
They got the stimulus. That's the real stimulus.
You can do it, but they understand, and this is why the GOP is so great. Because the GOP understands that, see, these dummies don't get it. These dummies want to keep walking around claiming a moniker that we gave them. These dummies don't understand that every time they try to make a legal argument, because legal arguments have to have a framing, have to have a structure. But again, our community is against structure.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that Black has no structure. It's why I saw an article from NPR, and then this is why I say all these institutions who be faking, like they don't know how to disaggregate. They disaggregated the Asian community.
Oh yeah.
But guess what? When you talk about Black, what is Black?
Some shit Jesse Jack. Well, no, that's African American.
That's some, again, Black is inaugural to America.
Oh yeah.
As well as white. So as I always say here, I want to remove whiteness as well as Blackness.
Yeah.
So the same way I denounce my Blackness, I need white people to denounce their whiteness. What are you? Are you Irish? Are you Scottish? Swedish? German? What are you? Are you of the continent of Africa?
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of people saying ignorant stuff. I had to watch a video of somebody ignorantly saying, oh, you can't have a white African. What are you talking about?
And see, here's the thing, they know.
Your phenotype has nothing to do with the place of origin of where you are born.
Yeah. A lot of them know too. They know they ain't white, they something else. And they'll tell you if you get close enough.
Sick of it. But again, y'all can let it continue to go on. Because the corporations, the people who have the wealth, because again, nobody can come and undermine labor in the way that labor was undermined and to the extent that labor was undermined in that time. So you cannot compete with certain groups, and I ain't gonna say certain groups, certain echelons. Why? Because you can't have a slave nowadays. Even when we talk about the Gilded Age, when we talk about, again, white people as well being accosted, when we talk about the railroads, when we talk about America moving into industrialism, they were also getting hit over the head.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about it later, with that when affirmative action was right. It's the same, Sway. So miss me with all of the whole, y'all poor too, because it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a white racist on my side. I got white racists on my side who understand the game, who understand it very much so. But that's why, if you don't correct it now, we will spiral into a space where the people who were and their families were able to capitalize on those moments and times in history will not be able to be competed with. especially when we can't even get a $15 minimum wage bill.
Man, and they campaigned on that hard. Woo!
I'ma just sip my Mr. Cup. Shout out to the wife.
Hey, what that Biden vote looking like?
Hers is white. I don't know.
What that Biden vote doing for
I don't
y'all,
know. They
folks?
tripping because
I went down ballot, people. I couldn't do it.
midterms is coming in.
Oh, it's
Look,
ugly.
I'm a registered Democrat, and I'm gonna tell y'all right now, if we don't get our shit together,
It's looking ugly.
a lot of black people are mad.
It's
See,
looking,
the difference between me is I talk to all walks of life.
exactly.
White, black, racist, liberal, social justice warrior, gangster, thug, whatever.
Yeah,
Gay, heterosexual, whatever.
yeah.
Because I don't really care. I like to hear thoughts, ideas, and I like to have conversation, and I like my ideas to be challenged.
I agree. I like that too. Like I look at everything for real. From RT to CNN to Fox News.
RT Clutch.
I love listening to it all because at the end of the day, it's all cap.
So
To some extent. So
Hey.
it's like I might as well get a full perspective.
Hey, this is how we feel about America, y'all. This is how we feel about America. I just want a reason to use my shit.
In the ghetto, on the cold and gray Chicago moon, and that little baby child is born in the ghetto.
That's America for you. And that is systemically done. Every morning, there's a child born into poverty, and it is systemic. And again, I don't even have an issue with people being poor. I just want equal access and opportunity. And when we talk about reparations, yes, they have to be cash payments, because without cash payments, it's just bullshit. And with
we got a question real quick. It says, what are some ways non-ADOS groups can show that they are allies?
actually be vocal outside of actually talking to us behind closed doors, because I know a lot of people like to have conversations behind closed doors, but actually getting behind it, asking what it is that we need as a group, I guess would be the smallest, but then also lending their social capital to us. For example, the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party talks about how much political will that we don't have for reparations, but they had enough political will to give non-citizens rights under the Constitution. We need those people who got rights under the Constitution to now help us get what we need.
Mm-hmm.
The Asian community just got their hate crime bill. Can we get them on TV yelling and screaming like, hold on. Y'all gave us our stuff, but this is complete and utter foolery. Why haven't y'all given the Black Americans what they deserve? Instead of going and saying, oh, well, I know this anomaly named Devon. I know this anomaly named Barack Obama, who isn't Black American. He's white and Kenyan. And we need to be able to have honest conversation and not deem people as radicals and crazy. Because what happens is, in a lot of these spaces, you get kicked out the room for not going along to get along. To be a true ally, you have to allow all aspects of African Americanness, Black Americanness, ADOSness to exist. And what do I mean by that? I speak for people as well as myself, but everybody don't come from my walk of life. So sometimes you got to let certain people speak. Hear them out. Because it's not always a complaint. And I'm the first to call people out on complaints. You know, I don't deal really with deal with a lot of complaints. But at the same time, some things are rooted in the truth. And so using the capital and not just money, but the social capital that you all have helps, because understand that our community has been decimated to such an extent that we don't have just social capital. And social capital goes a long way in terms of, that's the difference between me having 5 people on my team right now to help me do this and get to another space.
That's real. And for me, if I'm the piggyback, just the acknowledgement and the understanding of the history, because a lot of quote unquote allies, they don't understand the history of America enough to really formulate well thought out opinions on what should happen in America, because they not necessarily have educated themselves beyond what mainstream America has given them. So they're not being educated about our history and our plights and some of the things that are happening. So getting that education along with acknowledging, because you have a lot of people who are educated but won't acknowledge it because it won't benefit them.
That's why you got motherfuckers like Tim Scott and Kamala Harris and Whit Clyburn up there talking about America ain't racist when they done got beat across the head with Billy Club.
And it's always I march with Martin. I'm tired of these I march with Martin. They the first that need to go.
First.
Because they some of the weak mode. And I hate to say, but Martin had some weak niggas.
That's why he got shut down.
He had some weak niggas marching. But I love Martin. I love you, Martin Luther King. But them niggas you had around you, if you was here today,
and so I'm gonna pull this up real quick too in terms of allyship. That was a good question. I'm gonna pull this up real quick so everybody can see it. So CARICOM, shout out to ADOS, got their 10-point reparation plan. In 2013, Caribbean heads of government established CARICOM Reparations Commission with the mandate to prepare the case for the reparatory justice of the region's indigenous and African descendant communities who are the victims of crimes against humanity in the form of genocide, slavery, slave trade, and racial apartheid. This document prepared by the CRC proposes that the delivery of this mandate within a formulation of CARICOM Reparations Justice Program. The CRC asserts that the victims and descendants of the CAH, again, crimes against humanity, have a legal right to reparatory justice. And those who committed these crimes and who have enriched proceeds these crimes have reparatory case. The CRC asserts that European governments were owners of traders of enslaved Africans, instructed genocidal actions upon indigenous communities, and created legal, financial, and fiscal policies necessary for enslavement of Africans. And I'm gonna skip down a little bit because I want to get to, hold on. It calls European governments to participate in CRAPG JP with a view to prepare these victims and sufferers for full admission with dignity into the citizenry of global community. The CRC here outlines the path to reconciliation, truth, and justice for victims and their descendants. Full formal apology, reparation, Indigenous Peoples Development Program, cultural institutions, public health crisis, illiteracy eradication, African knowledge program, psychological rehabilitation, technology transfer, and debt cancellation. So I would say I appreciate their plan, but what I would say is their plan is specific to Caribbean people, which I'm not against at all, because they're fighting on their land and their government. And I, as an adult, understand that jurisdictions matter. So all of this Pan-African stuff, we have to, we can be Pan-Africans in terms of our ideals, but in terms of addressing governments and addressing legal things that go into legal matters, we have to be adults and understand that you cannot get claims. For example, you cannot put a claim in America for people who live in the Caribbean. It just doesn't work that way. Because jurisdictions matter, no matter what people tell y'all. That's why I'm not necessarily for just the open borders kind of argument, despite defecting me or disagreeing with how they're going about treating the people. That's a completely different conversation. I wish we could have nuanced conversations in that way. But what I would say to that allyship is that the thing is like that, the Caribbean people here, I wish they would help us get what we need from America so that the people that they have back at home can also get what they need to get.
This is true.
Because if America do it, who's going to step out of line? If America is forced to do reparations, everybody has to follow, or you become trash, because we the fake human rights nation. And I say fake because we still got a whole bunch of human rights issues.
And I do you one better. We're the leaders of industry. So if we are the first to do anything, we're the biggest domino. Like I've always had this argument. If we was the first to disarm nuclear weapons, a lot of people will well, we're not gonna get, that's another whole nother. Back to your schedule program.
No, that's because again, it go back to the imperialism. But people don't want to have a full conversation. And what I would say is reparations is the reconstruction that never happened. Reparations is the redistribution of funds. Reparations can encapsulate all of these different programs that people are talking about when it comes to social justice. So even when we talk about defund the police, reparations can be put into a reparations plan. You want to know why? Because it's about the reallocation of resources. But the problem is people don't want the resources to be allocated to the niggas.
Exactly. And I do you one better. Reparations would effectively end capitalism. Because we are the capital.
I wouldn't say it would end capitalism. I'm not a proponent of ending capitalism. I'm more of a proponent of having dual hybrid systems.
Well, let me not say end capitalism.
Say what you want.
But the way in which we view capitalism is the same ways in which this country was built on, which was to exploit labor, exploit
rugged capitalism.
To exploit. That came from slavery.
The rawest form
we
of capitalism.
We were the first ones to be capitalized upon. So if you pay it forward to the people who were capitalized upon first, who are you going to capitalize on next? Mm-hmm. And we've set the precedent. So once you pay us, there is no more capitalizing on other poor people because there's a precedent set that you have to repay whenever you decide to capitalize upon a people. That's why I say it would effectively end capitalism.
In the way that we know it, I agree. 100%. But I think that comes in having real conversations with your people about what was done to the African American community, because it's too many misnomers that, you know, all Black people are the same. And again, anybody who knows me, look, I can't hold you accountable for your history, but at the same time, we should be able to discuss it, man. And I think being able to discuss it without people trying to gaslight you, because I've tried to have conversations with people about African nations, especially West African nations, because of how they geopolitically set up, that 70% of slaves were sold and not captured. I grew up believing that slaves were, white people just went in and captured slaves. And that wasn't the truth. Mm-hmm. It was the fact that you had a lot of African tribes enslaving each other. And when the white man came in, the Europeans came in, it was just a business transaction. But those people didn't know, because they had a different form of slavery, that these people who they were selling off were being transported into a whole different form. That's why the British, and that's why, again, a lot of people pulled out once they understood what was happening in America. Yeah. America didn't really want to end slavery. people put pressure on them like, yo, we do slavery, but y'all on some other shit.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's how they were.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Because in the end, it was like, look.
Think about it. They put us on $1 bill. That's how, like, what England wasn't doing that. They wasn't putting us on a pound.
Bruh.
They put us on $1 bill. They made us the most valuable thing to have. Like, we was it. We was it.
And that's, again, conversations when we talk about people, other minorities, even when we talk about Native Americans. Like, I'm gonna need y'all to get honest, man.
Yeah. We was Dogecoin.
Y'all own slaves. Like, y'all wanted to be white. Everybody wanted to be white. And don't hit me with the, oh, well, there was black slave owners. That was like a, I don't even want to, that's like booty hole type percentage. Don't play me. That wasn't really a thing. That's why that whole big alone thing was super offensive.
God, man. I still ain't seen that movie.
But before we get into the book, I'm gonna just go ahead into this last article. If y'all still with us, if y'all still watching, we appreciate y'all, man. This is Eavesdrop. Hit the like button. Please share if you still with us. We appreciate it very much. We're just trying to share the information, have a conversation. If you want to hop in and give your thoughts, give your opinions, again, you don't gotta agree or any of that. We just really want to hear what people think. And it's all about having a conversation because, again, I'm against political correctness. I'm against safe spaces. Nothing about this should be safe. I should be able to be critiqued and attacked in any way, shape, or form. As long as you hop in, you do it respectfully, you do it with information. I'm not here for the gaslighting and all of those different things. But at the same time, you are able to give me feedback when I'm saying these things. And any political person, any individual who doesn't feel the same, you should probably red flag. Red flag. But this is Biden, man. So we gonna get into the political article. He probably tells lawmakers not to expect much on reparations legislation. So mind you, this is the same man who just went down to the Tulsa, Tulsa Day anniversary and tried to get them people $100,000.
Bro, he tried to get them the Publishers Clearinghouse check. You know, the big ass check that, bro. But we get him.
In the ghetto, on the cold and gray Chicago morning, that little baby child is born in the ghetto.
I hate it.
So he called out how through the years there have been members in elected office who were very public about their association or membership with the KKK. Rep. Corey Bush said in parking lot of Greenwood Culture Center, I got some words about that. He didn't disagree with what we were doing, said Rep. Brenda Lawrence, Democrat of Michigan, second vice chair of CBC. He did talk about his plate being full with trying to get the infrastructure bill passed and that he really wanted to make sure that he could get through before he took on anything else. For the nearly all Black crowd inside the cultural center, which included the 3 remaining survivors of the massacre, descendants, local leaders, and activists, the Tulsa speech was a milestone. They watched and clapped as Biden went into detail about the massacre and drew a through line to issues Black people still face today. I personally would have liked to hear the word reparations. I think that he was very strategic in the words that he used. He used the words repair, said Nehemiah Frank, a descendant of the founder of Black Wall Street Times in Tulsa. If you pull together the people, if you pull the people together, you can't fully help Black people. That's how I feel about it. If you want to make Black people happy, you're going to piss off a lot of Americans. Reparations for Black people in America has been a politically fraught and risky topic for Democrats for decades, though Republicans have essentially never wavered from their opposition. But activists say that they have no reason to remain hopeful, even as the issue moves at snail's pace in Congress. First off, Brett, Corey Bush, chill out. Because Joe Biden is the Dixiecrat that he complains about. I saw an article that came out about him attacking GOP friendly people when in his old age, he struck the deals with Strom Thurmond and the KKK types. Stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hear it. Stop caping. Black woman, if you don't want no smoke, please elevate a Negro that is willing to step in the gap and speak unabashedly that this man has no right to speak on Democrats, Dixiecrats, who are resembling his GOP counterparts. His whole talking point during this campaign was he had that experience.
I bet you do, motherfucker.
He has no right. But what I'm going to go ahead and do after that, though, if y'all want to come up, you can come up. Link is in the description.
Yeah.
But what you got to say before we get into this? I got some little experts that I want to touch on, and we can, talk about them. But go ahead. What you got?
Like for me, so we already had where Joe Biden invited a lot of the black leaders. Remember the meeting that they had? He told them
and disrespecting them.
You're not getting nothing. Nada. We're not doing nothing for you. So my thing is like everybody's getting upset. It's like, yo, okay, like we really have to get out of this mindset of being correct. Because everybody just wants to be correct for being correct's sake. Dr. Umar Johnson, you got up on the Breakfast Club. You're absolutely 100% correct. But black men voted how many percentage for Biden?
80.
And I put that on the
I was
L.
saying, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. If you do them, you're bad because drugs are bad. Okay, it's a bad thing to do drugs, so don't be bad by doing drugs. Okay, that'd be bad. Drugs are bad. Okay.
Exactly. Like, here's my thing. Your generation of men were the ones that got locked up in droves over Jim Crow Joe Biden policy. But yet you want to get up here and be correct for correct's sake and say all of these talk about it sounds so beautiful. So beautiful. But what did your generation of men do when we had a chance to say, you know what, Biden, you don't get to be president and do what you did to us?
They voted for the nigga.
They voted for him. So I don't have, listen, I don't have no respect. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't have no respect. But a lot of old niggas, old niggas.
Talking about for Umar?
Old niggas.
Yeah,
old
for the
niggas.
For the ones who do, I do have respect, but for the most part, the majority I don't. Because they whack.
It's like the police. It's
they're
like,
the ones
okay,
who out here in bonnets caping for.
It's like, okay, you got them few cool policemen, but police as a whole are doo-doo.
Yeah.
Old niggas as a whole are doo-doo.
I agree.
Because you go up there and you correcting everything that you say and we did. But at the end of the day, this is what you voted for. You voted for this. So I don't really want to hear nobody. I would have voted for Beto O'Rourke before I voted for Jim Crow Joe, if I could. I don't know that nigga, but he better than Jim Crow Joe. I would have voted. What's my man in New York? My man, Asian.
Now, as I was saying, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. If you do them, you're bad.
Anything but Joe.
Okay? It's a bad thing.
Anything but Joe. And now we trying to have All I'm saying is this. Let me wrap this up. All I'm saying is this. We can't have a discussion about reparations and at the same time elect the president who locked up your uncle, my uncle, your granddad,
And that's real time.
your brother, and everybody who look like us, and then holler for reparations. We can't have them to exist. We can't. We keep rewarding these people. How does Hillary Clinton get to even run after you call half of Black America super predators?
One thing I'll say, bro, is black people,
these people.
Black people dumb, bro.
But we keep rewarding them. How Bernie Sanders get to be a social justice warrior?
No,
when he's wrong with everything.
All I said, black people dumb.
When we keep rewarding these old white niggas.
They gonna hate me for saying it, but black people, we gotta get this shit together.
And it's like, no, why are we rewarding these people? Run the tape back. Can we please just run the tape on these
our
people?
memory only go a week. That's why we talking about bonnets. That's why we
Ain't nobody got time for that.
talking about bonnets.
Don't worry, Sage Talk. We're going to get Sage Talk up and running, and we're going to inform the people. Check out Sage Talk. We're going to have a lot of these discussions coming up. We're going to bring that good content, get our people politically abreast.
Historically abreast.
Historically abreast, so that this shit don't happen. Because Gen Z, we looking out for y'all. Millennials that want to, get out of that little box, we looking out for y'all. These old niggas, I don't know. I'll let somebody else.
Shout out to you, bro. I'm gonna need you to take the lead on that one, man.
I got you. We gonna. Yes.
So we gonna get into last part of the show again. If y'all want to go ahead, call in. I'm gonna get into this book. When affirmative action was white, y'all should go pick this up. Shout out to Yvette Cornell. Book club. Shout out to Ados.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start off at some of the highlights that I took for the show. If only for a moment the racial question seemed settled. Soon, however, racial oppression took a new form. By 19th century's end, the South had embarked on a thoroughing program of legally enforced racial segregation. Dense regulations legislated by governments sharply restricted the place of African Americans in the public sphere while regulating private, including intimate relations between blacks and whites. A combination of social conventions, racist ideas, economic compulsion, theological justification, political institutions, and harsh enforcement by police, courts, and prisons, buttressed by private violence, supported the unyielding inequality mandated by Jim Crow. And this is by LBJ, the racist. So when people come at me and talk about, oh, it's about individual racism, no. Part of the problem is y'all don't understand y'all holding a bag full of blood. All of y'all parents, and this is what they don't tell people, bro. See, they get in all of these spaces with these ignorant black people and be like, oh yeah, I'm poor just like you and da 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 da. Yeah, you got a low income like me, but your daddy paying for your law school, writing a check, cash money. Yeah, you got student loan debt, and let me put this out here. Student loan debt should just be for Black Americans specifically. Because as we're going to get into in this book, every white people ain't poor for the same reasons Black people are poor. And even if you do have student loan debt as a white person, you possibly and most likely have in vivo transfers passed around through stocks, trust funds, and all types of other mechanisms. that y'all have in place. But because you low income and because you had to take on debt because your parents said, oh, no, you should do this, it's a game. The DC Council wrote a whole letter to Joe Biden about absolving student loan debt. I challenge y'all to do it about reparations, but they won't because they fake. And if anybody wanna, y'all all got my number.
Yeah.
And if you don't got my number, you know somebody who got my number. Because everybody, oh, I'm willing to have a conversation. Shut your lying ass up. Sick of it. You're not willing to have no goddamn conversation. People goddamn fake as hell. No, seriously, bro.
Man.
Seriously. Because everybody be like, oh, I'm willing to have a conversation. Ask me how many conversations I've had where I can have a continuous conversation because people aren't threatened by the truth.
Hey man, we have a show every Saturday and we just be talking, you know.
So the freedom it would confer, he insisted, like the liberty to come and go in the public arena, or the right not to be denied a job on the basis of color, is not enough. The racist, LBJ. At the heart of the speech lays Johnson's explanation of why civil rights initiatives were insufficient and why something more transcending equal treatment was needed. You do not wipe away the scars of centuries by saying, now you are free to go where you want and do as you desire and choose the leaders you please. I'm going to start right there and pause because all y'all niggas who be talking about vote or die and vote, it's not about that all of the time. Like we talked about last time, if you don't got no wealth, you're not in certain parts of the political process because certain parts of the political process require and have the prerequisite of wealth.
Yeah.
And wealth is multi-generational. You cannot be a wealthy person in one generation. You're just rich. But y'all niggas hubris, people feed it all day, every day, because they know y'all niggas want to be so much, and they know y'all want to be this and be that. So politicos, intelligent people, take advantage of your own ambition. But y'all ain't ready for that. Y'all ain't ready for that.
Can I interject with a comment real quick?
Go ahead, man.
Shan Rock 23. She said that home ownership too substantially helps with loan debt.
Oh, we gonna get into that motherfucker. I got the motherfucking highlights. Look, I got the highlights in this bit. We gonna get there.
Don't forget about the day. Show the day.
We gonna get into that motherfucker. Y'all can't see the highlights, but we gonna get into that motherfucker. Oh, let me make sure. If y'all want to call in too, man, feel free to call in, man. Hop on and have a conversation. Because I do this because this is the conversation of the collective lets us know where we are and where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to move the conversation forward and elevate the conversation. Shout out to Straight Talk No Chase.
Yeah.
I was over there, this week. It's about that, man. We can't continue to keep talking about weak ass bonnets and entertainers and people who don't really got no sway, man. Let's talk about our everyday lives. Y'all see what y'all see right here. I ain't struggling, but at the same time, I ain't got it. I'm like a regular everyday ass person.
Mm-hmm.
I just try and put my best foot forward every single day. Period. Point blank, period. Like, I buy books. I put the little bit of money that I got into the shit that I like, that I think can make the collective better as well as me better.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into it. Ordinarily, chronicles of affirmative action begin in the early 1960s. They focus on the critical moment between 1963 and 1969 when such policies moved from obscurity to become the single most important federal policy for dealing with employment discrimination, and extend forward to encompass the 4 decades when affirmative action was Black. Writing about the limited qualities of most such accounts, the historian Thomas Sergey, I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, has cautioned that the theory ordinarily substitute a flattened image of the past, one of a colorblind constitution in a global age of racial cooperation, an image that is historically false and thus repress the far more complicated and troubled history of racial liberalism. Such approaches obscure important features of public policy in the earlier decades when affirmative action was white. Without this record, the history of affirmative action is incomplete. So what he is saying is that when you talk about the inaugural policy of affirmative action, you have to understand that before that, affirmative action was white, which this book gets into in terms of how all of the other policies that came before that, Homestead Act, New Deal, GI Bill, all of these different things were discriminatory in a way that they only build when you hear Joe Biden give that little talking point about the middle class. That's the white middle class.
Yeah.
There is no Black middle class. You either here or you there.
Exactly.
I'm poor.
Exactly. Because even the so-called Black middle, our houses don't even appreciate the same.
And I got a video on that. Check out the YouTube 10-minute drill. Your whole identity alone depreciates your value of any institution that you're in.
It's like
that's why hiring too many Black people, they don't do. Because again, it depreciates the value of the institution. You could be a token, but whatever.
Hey.
So, LBJ, the racist spam. Let's go. The racists agree with me, man. How we do this? So, Negro poverty is not white poverty. What does he mean?
What?
The differences he hastened to explain are not racial differences. They are solely and simply the consequence of ancient brutality, past injustice, and present prejudice. Unlike Blacks, the white poor, many of whom had escaped its shackles, did not have the heritage of centuries to overcome, and they did not have a cultural tradition which had been twisted and battered by endless years of hatred and hopelessness, nor were they excluded. These others, because of race or color, a feeling whose dark intensity is matched by no other prejudice in our society. The second cause, in the first, he identified as the breakdown of the Negro family structure, which he attributed to centuries of oppression and the persecution of the Negro man. Woo! Let's get his racist man. Racist man. What? Y'all unprotected for a reason. The racists, you want to know why the racists get it? Because the racists did it. The racists get it because the racists did it.
And see, that's the thing, because like, okay, when you talk to Trailer Park, like they be still having their families together and stuff for the most part. Like, where you think you get what's his name?
And they probably attached to a wealthy white person.
Exactly. What's his name? The comedian. Bob the something. I forget his name. But yeah.
Bob the Builder?
No, not Bob the Builder. It's like the electrician something. It was something. I forget his
Sound
name.
like Bob the Builder to me.
The chat probably know who I'm talking about. But yeah, they get those things because the family structures. Like you get what Breaking Bad and that whole dynamic of the white poor family. You get those because of the family structure. They do that shit as a family. They be fucked up, but they be a family. Like
yeah, what
it just be us and my mama. Like
so the end of Jim Crow, migration northward, and the start of desegregation and education wore away the insulated niches and left them with fewer assets and greater insecurities than their white counterparts. Yet, even more important, the entirely absent from the president's account was the set of causes that will be highlighted in more detail in the chapters below. How the wide array of significant and far-reaching public policies that were shaped and administered during the New Deal and Fair Deal era of the 1930s and 1940s were crafted and administered in a deeply discriminatory manner. This was no accident. Still an era of legal segregation in 17 American states, in Washington, D.C., the southern wing of the Democratic Party was in position to dictate the contours of Social Security, key labor legislation, the GI Bill, and other landmark laws that helped create a modern white middle class in a manner that protected what the legislators routinely called the Southern way of life, the Dixiecrats, AKA Joe Biden, which is why he's so cool with all of the GOP, Strom Thurmond.
AKA Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton.
This is true.
Y'all from Arkansas, the Show Me State. Like it's a lot of that. Listen, it's a lot of them that grew up in that South, but all of a sudden you adopted the North to get into where you in. Sickening.
It says with the GI Bill, interest rates capped at most moderate rates, and this is to Shamrock in terms of housing, and down payments waived for loans up to 30 years. The potential clientele broadened dramatically. And the chapter of this name is White Veterans Only. The balance decisively tilted away from renting toward purchasing. Between 1945 and 1954, the United States added 13 million new homes to its housing stock. In 1946 and 1947, VA mortgages alone accounted for more than 40% of the total, a remarkable figure considering that young veterans were far less likely to have accumulated the substantial savings needed to buy property than those who had stayed home during war. You move down a little bit further. As Michael Bennett, author of The Main History of the GI Bill, noted, the GI Bill changed where and how Americans lived. Suburbs spring up like mushrooms around every sizable city. As surely as the Homestead Act of 1862 filled the prairies of the far west, the GI Bill created and filled the suburbs. Check out the book. I didn't do it any justice tonight. I want y'all to check out the book. I didn't do it any justice tonight. It's way more in depth in breadth, but I get, people have lives and I want to engage y'all while I got y'all, because again, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody who tuned in. Please like the video and share the video, because we just out here trying to share information, have a good time. This is our good time on our Saturday evening.
Yeah, it's our turn up.
I'm gonna go have fun with the fam, chill out and cool out. But I want y'all to understand that when you talk about reparations, reparations is the answer because without it, America does not get reconstructed. Reparations is the answer when you understand policy and how it influences narrative and how it incentivizes behavior and how it has the power to put regulations around corporations, institutions, as well as other nations. Reparations is the answer to save us all in America because we cannot challenge the wealth accumulated by slavery and the gilded era of tyrants who exploited labor at such a rate that we can never do today. So the only way to gut that labor, to gut that leverage, to gut that power is through the Black American, quote unquote, ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, community. Because one thing America, as our brother CA asked earlier, the reason and why there's so much vested interest is because if they let the African Americans die out, if they hold us off, Europeans, AKA white supremacy, will reign supreme because they will have pulled off the biggest heist, human rights atrocity known to man. And yes, surpassing Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler would clap in awe at what the American institution has been able to pull off. Because we still are here today. And it's manufactured in such a way that it allows people to default into it. And I want to say to all of my business people, do your business, get your money, but understand that you move in and around a political system. Business is politics. And without a political direction, you fall into the trap of undermining your own community. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that, again, you have to support every Tom, Dick, and Harry. But understand that this is a collective. Understand that where we sit allows America to pillage all nations. So even to you white people who want to be fake social justice warriors, and you know what? Because all y'all not fake social justice warriors. I see some of y'all clap back at the fake social justice warriors. So for all of y'all who understand it, we need y'all loud and clear. Because you all are going to suffer the sins of your father, unfortunately. And what I do know, as Anna Arendt says, this is tyranny without a tyrant. So, with that being said, the same things that our forefathers, founding fathers fled from, will become. And you will be, again, the same victim of white on white crime. And that's what makes me sleep at night, or helps me sleep at night, that if y'all don't give us what we need, I just hope that I'm here or in spiritual form to see everybody suffer.
And let me add on to what you're saying, because that is exactly what I want to touch on. Because here's my thing, Black America. So if we're not going to have the discussion about reparations, and we're not going to do the policy, then what we should be having a conversation about, not bonnets or any of these things, we need to start talking about, okay, we're not going to do the politics, we're not going to do reparations. Let's start talking about who gets to live and who dies. Because literally, COVID-19 has sped up everything. Everything. You thought you were whatever you were, man, until COVID hit. And the people with the wealth is chilling, sitting at home, chilling with their families. They got their kid, and you out here in food lines. So let's really have a conversation. If we think reparations is so pie in the sky that we can't get out here and campaign, but we can make a fuss and cuss about bonnets, let's start talking about what Black people get to live and what Black people get to die. Because clearly what it seems to me is that the poorest among us, through no fault of their own, seem to be the ones that we don't have anything for. So by default, they're the ones that will have an issue with dying off. Because we don't want to do any policy towards reparations, because every other race can get their pie in the sky legislation, but anything that we ask for that has legal precedent, we don't want to touch. So let's really have a conversation, scene. Who gets to die and who gets to live because we don't want to do policy? Is it the ones who speak like us? Is it the tokens? Is it the poor people? Who in Black America gets to live 20 years from now because we haven't done no policy?
The tokens.
So that's all we have to look forward to?
Yeah. That's why you got to go along to get along.
Well, goddamn.
That's why you have people who out here just saying anything and they know it's wrong, but that's what it's coming to.
Well, goddamn it, there you go. You know, we could just keep talking about Black women in bonnets, and 20 years from now, all poor people or people that we feel aren't deemed to be worthy to live will just die off, and we won't have reparations or anything else, and you'll just have to be a chocolate covered white person to live in America. What James Brown said, living in America. That's what you got. Since all of our policy is just pie in the sky, we don't deserve nothing. Let old people tell you. So when they die off and we still talking about who's trending on YouTube or whatever, while everybody else gets theirs and ours is still just whatever it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
That's another episode of Eavesdrop. And look,
Do we have a very serious problem?
and that's what it is. And we gonna head out. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. Shout out to everybody who came in and joined us tonight. It is what it is. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, had a conversation in the privacy of your own home. But that's all I got. You got anything else?
Yeah, I'm pretty much done. You know, I said my piece.
All right, and we out. Thank you, and we.